Yeah, let's jump into the match preview then. So the game obviously kicks off at 5:30. There are so many different narratives going into this game. First of all, it's Tottenham's first game without Daniel Levy. As you say, you know, which is going to be a very weird kind of feeling. You've got West Ham coming into this was poor form, but they just won 3-0 away at Forest. And as you say, Potter's kind of in trouble at the moment. They're not too happy with their board, but also Mohammed Kudus coming back to the London Stadium with Tottenham. He's going to be public enemy number one. You also take into account our record against West Ham. Look at the previous 5. I mean, it actually doesn't read to too bad reading, is it? I mean, I thought it was worse than that. I mean, the last one was a draw. We beat them 4-1, then we drew, lost 2-1 at home, and then beat them 2-0 at home the year before that. I think we haven't won at the London Stadium for 5 years, I think. Well, maybe getting close to 6 now. I think it was like October 2019 was the last time we won there. So we don't have a great record in recent times of winning. Yeah, it was under Jose, yeah. So, it's a long time, but can we hopefully we can break it tomorrow. In terms of the talking points and what I was saying, the narratives, let's talk about, first of all, from a Tottenham perspective, this is going to be kind of a new era. This is kind of this game will mark Tottenham 3.0 or whatever you want to call it. A Daniel Levy-less Tottenham. The first game where Enoch have taken full control. The away end is going to be buzzing. The home end as well is going to be feisty. It's going to be a real great, hopefully great atmosphere. Maybe similar to what we saw when Newcastle played Liverpool, that kind of real fiery atmosphere we saw, and it really elevated Newcastle on that day, albeit they lost. But in terms of the Spurs fans, do you expect any new chants from the away end? Do you expect them to be in buoyant mood?
I would imagine. Listen, I think there will be buoyant mood. First of all, back from the international break. Again, as I know well, the away fans would always be chanting about the ownership. Change has come. I'm really excited for the future of Tottenham Hotspur, really excited. And I think there'll be a really upbeat feel to the away fans. Obviously, seeing people like Xavi Simons for the first time is going to be... and obviously, this is it may not be the biggest derby for us, but it most certainly is for them. And in a place where they're in a bit of turmoil with how they feel about the ownership, and it's the exact opposite for us. I think it's going to be a cracking atmosphere. And I think being the night game as well, or late afternoon game, is going to add some extra spice to it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Bringing it on to Kudus. We were talking to Nicky Hawkins yesterday. I was asking him, is this the biggest kind of... the most intimidating reception you ever expect do you expect the most intimidating reception you ever given a player returning to the London Stadium? Like just in general, any player that's ever returned there or gone there, is Kudus kind of... And he said 100%. He said he can't think of a situation where a player's demanded such a hostile reception than Kudus. You got to remember, he hasn't just moved from West Ham to Spurs. First of all, he kind of demanded to leave. He said, and then when he signed, he said, I only want Tottenham. Then when he had his announcement video with doing his medical, he said, if you check my heart, you'll find Tottenham there. So he is basically at every step of the way been, look, mate, whether it's, I don't know if it's intentional or not. I don't know if he knows what he's doing, but he's been obviously goading the West Ham fans in terms of how he's gone about this transfer. For you as obviously we expect a hostile reception, but do you think he knows what he's doing when he's been doing all this stuff, in terms of, is he stoking the flames of the fury of West Ham fans? Because a lot of the West Ham fans, when I was speaking to them before the transfer went through, weren't even blaming Kudus. They were blaming the ownership, saying it's their fault, it's not Kudus' fault, I don't blame him for leaving. But with all what he's done, all the things he said, and he's gone a kind of left basically rubbing their face in it, essentially. Do you think he knows what he's doing? Do you think he's that kind of character who thrives on goading those kind of fans? Or do you think he's unaware of the real intense rivalry?
I think he's been here for 2 years with West Ham, so he would have known about the rivalry. Like when players join us, they're like, "Don't drive a red car. Don't. This is the team It's drummed into you. Whether you've come from a foreign country, whether you've come from Europe or anywhere, it's drummed into you who your number one enemies are." So maybe he didn't realise when he moved here just how ferocious it would be moving from 1 to 2. But I also think what might have done this as well. Do you remember on the opening game of the season, Kudus would have seen what West Ham fans were singing about him at Sunderland and seen the banners. So Kudus may have instigated it with his words and what he said and what he's done. But West Ham have then given it back to him as fans, like we did to Judas. So it's 6 and 1 1/2 a dozen the other, isn't it? But the main thing that I've been discussing with people is when he scores, and this is why I didn't say if, when he scores, where we've been having the debate, do you think he celebrates or he does I think he celebrates and winds it up even more.
I mean, if he knows what he's doing when it comes to those comments he's been making when he signed, then I think logic might state that he might be enough of a shithouse to celebrate in the London Stadium, and then it'll all really kick off. But I wonder if do you reckon he's going to be told before, look, if you score, don't, because it's already on a knife edge. So don't go over the top, don't celebrate, don't go to fans, because it's probably going to be already at boiling point before you even get into that ground. So you don't want to tip it over the edge. But he might well do. It's going to be very interesting. But I don't understand. I don't really get it, because what has West Ham done wrong to him? Like, why is he, if he is doing this all on purpose and goading them and making all those comments, like, why is he doing that to his former club, who gave him the chance to come to the Premier League? Haven't really done anything wrong towards him, from my recollection. They let him go when he wanted to go. They facilitated it. They accepted a bid that was way lower than they could have got. So why would he do this on purpose? That's the one I'm questioning.
The only thing I could say on that, and obviously Nicky, when you spoke to her, I haven't watched yours and Nicky's bit at the moment, but the only thing I can think of is apparently it was rumoured halfway through the season he wants out, wasn't it? Maybe it was a clash with Graham Potter. I don't know, but if you're looking at it and all of a sudden he wanted out and a new manager's there, maybe it was a clash of... But again, this is me being the outside looking in, but it obviously looked like it was going to happen the whole time. It's going to be intriguing. But like you said, you look at it, West Ham didn't do anything like come out and say anything about his lack of attitude or he's not training properly or anything, did they? There was nothing coming out of West Ham. This was driven solely by Kudus. Yeah,
which is it's all really interesting. I wonder, is there going to be some tough challenges going in on him, and is there? I know the atmosphere is going to be crazy, and there's going to be loud boos, I'm assuming, whenever he gets near the ball, and they're going to make it as hostile as possible for Kudus. But I wonder if the players as well, is there going to be an element of, because he's one who hangs onto the ball anyway, isn't he? He gets on the ball and he's good at shielding it, he's good at hanging on to it. So, is that going to invite a crunching challenge from someone? Is there going to be a few real tough challenges going in on him? That's going to be quite an interesting element to it.
Well, I'd add to that. Maybe if West Ham do that and someone gets a yellow card, it's the perfect time for Kudus to do like we was doing at Burnley. Just run at his guy and try and get him sent off, or see if you can get the guy to commit another foul. But yeah, you've always got to be wary that like a Romero-esque tackle is coming in from someone. They're going to put we know where you are. Have some of this. Get ready for it. It's going to be a very, very tough game for him. I think he's got the mentality to get through it and come out the other side being the better player and the better man, and doing more damage to them than West Ham will try to do to him.
Yeah, I think so. You got from both sides of the fan base. You got reasons to be kind of feisty or lively, should we say. So I'm expecting a very, very loud atmosphere at the London Stadium. In terms of just West Ham in general, obviously first 3 games of the season, Well, they lost to 5-1 to Chelsea, lost 3-0 to Sunderland. They then got dumped out the cup by Wolves after being 2-1 up with 5 minutes to go or something. And but they did spring that surprise result in Nuno's last game before the international break, 3-0. Potter changed it up tactically, went forward back. And also on deadline day, they did bring in a few players, didn't they? They got Fernandes. They've brought in, can't remember off the top of my head who else they brought in, but I think they got a couple of signings in on deadline day. So I think that'll give them a few kind of a bit more impetus, bit of fresh energy. What kind of West Ham do you expect to see in this game, do you think?
Well, they like you said, they made that change against Forest. Will they continue in that formation at home, or will they go out? The thing is, West Ham did bring in a couple of players, but you know what? He may be old, but I think Callum Wilson is a great player. I really, if he stays fit, I think he's a proper goal poacher and a problem for any team he comes up against. And he always gives us a tough game. Always. So I hope we can have him under lock and key. But obviously, Paqueta, who did that incredible celebration when he scored, he's committed his future. So, well, not committed his future, but obviously didn't go this window. Bowen looked very, very lively against Forest, didn't he? He looked very, very lively. He's always the danger man, isn't he? It's whether Spurs have got enough to keep those three quiet. And you look at it, when we look at the predicted lineup again, I think João Palhinha has got a hell of a game on his hands.
What, in the middle?
Yeah, I think he needs to be at his Manchester City, Burnley, PSG best, because they could come, and they going forward, they could be an issue.
Bowen, Wilson, Paquetá, they got good players there. Somerville, I think he's fit. He came on the other game, so they definitely have very good attackers. I think Bowen, obviously, he's the big danger man off that right-hand side. If you allow him on the transition to get him behind you and get an opportunity to finish, he's clinical. He really is. He's got a brilliant left foot, and I am a bit worried about him. So, which is why, I definitely want either Spencer or Doggy up against him. Well, it's going to be one of those two, but you got to lock him down. You got to lock him down, because I think he is a big portion of their threat. He is, to be honest. So I think it's very important you make sure he's not a transitional threat. But as you say, Paquetá, he's been playing with like a new lease of life this season. Yep. And I think you saw that celebration, that would him confirming he's staying. That's going to be obviously, that's going to give him that new kind of confidence this season, because last season he was dreadful. And he's obviously had a weight lifted with the charges dropped, the betting charges, and I think that's going to make a big change for him this season. So obviously he's one to be very worried about, and I think when he's on, we were potentially interested in him in the last stage of the window, and I think when he's on his game, he's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I still don't think we've seen the best out of him at West Ham. I think there's a better player in there than what we've seen. And apparently, Matheus Fernandes came in the last game, and he made a big difference. I think Diouf, the left back, he's been fairly impressive. But I think where they will struggle is, I think in central midfield, they got Paquetá, but I do think they struggle for real legs, like just ability to cover ground. Like Souček, they've been playing in there. He's just so slow, isn't he? And as much as he's got his strengths, but I just feel like if you're up against Souček, you just back yourself to be able to get past him, because he's just very slow. They got, who else is it? It's I think Rodriguez or something, some other defensive midfield player who I think a lot of West Ham fans are happy to see the back of. I also think their back line just hasn't been able to gel. I think the centre-backs, Todibo's been an absolute disaster so far. I think the keeper is definitely suspect. Hermansen so far, he's definitely suspect. Kilman, I think in theory he's a decent defender, but I think if you've not got someone covering for him in behind, then all of a sudden he can be a bit of a liability. So definitely you look at their team and you're like, there's a lot to be excited about in terms of what we could do against them. But definitely they got some threats which you just can't ignore.
Exactly. Going forward, I think you're right. And then when we just broke, like you just broke down the back line and parts of midfield, I think this is going to be the perfect game for Xavi Simons to make his debut. I mean, we got to remember we've been playing this season with Sarr as number 10, who's not the critic. He's done a great job. Don't get me wrong. He's done a fantastic job doing what he does. But we saw against Bournemouth, didn't we? The one thing we were lacking is creativity. And they doubled up on Kudus and they kept him quiet. If we can win that midfield battle with Paulinho and Bergvall, as we've said, and we can get this ball to Simons, we've lacked this creativity all season because of injuries. This could be an absolute dream debut for Simons to come in and just literally dictate this game. So I think Simons could have a field day here tomorrow.
Yeah, I think he's going to be obviously a massive part of it. Him making his debut, that's going to be another very interesting subplot because we've really been lacking. We've really been lacking that kind of player in the team for a while, and he's obviously been. He's obviously been someone that we've absolutely needed in that team, and him making his debut in a London derby. It's going to be very interesting to see how he copes with that, especially with the atmosphere set to be as feisty as it is. Now, this is a guy who's played in the big occasion. He's played in Champions League games. He's played in Euros games. I think he played in potentially a World Cup as well. He got called up to the World Cup anyway. I don't know if he played any minutes, but this guy has played in massive games and he's still only 22. So he has thrived on those occasions. He's someone who's been in the spotlight ever since he was, I think, 15. Ever since he was young, he was kind of a minor celebrity, and when he was younger. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be fazed by it. No. I really don't. But it's whether the only question I have is whether it's just going to be a bit of a baptism of fire when it comes to, first game in the Premier League where the challenges are going to be flying in. It's going to be so intense. It's probably going to be very fast paced. Something he's probably not used to potentially in the Bundesliga where maybe you got a bit more space and you got a bit more time and things like that. So I'm not saying he's going to be phased like he's going to be nervous, but it is still something new. It's still good. It might take some getting used to for Xavi Simons in this game, especially with North London. It's not the easiest game to get thrown into, is it? So no. How do you how do you anticipate he reacts to his debut?
I think sometimes you got to chuck people in the deep end, don't you, and see if they swim. And let's face it, we have got a terrific player in there, and he's been in the Bundesliga, which sometimes we refer to as the closest to the Premier League, don't we? Mm-hmm. For style of football play, maybe not the intensity within the fans, especially on a derby such as this. I think he'll adapt to this quickly. I really, like you said, he's played in semi-final. He played in the semi-final against England in the Euros, didn't he? Where it's huge stakes games. He's done it at Champions League level. He's done it in important. But I think it won't. I think it might be a shock to him the first few tackles that come flying in, and obviously the atmosphere, which is going to be, like I said, it's going to be a powder keg, isn't it? But I think he'll get a few touches on the ball nice and early, and then he'll settle into the game and he'll go from strength to strength to strength. And I think he gets an assist tomorrow, minimum. And
it would be very interesting if he just comes in tomorrow, West Ham away, and just has an amazing game and just completely settles in straight away. I think we'll know, wow, we've got a real player here, won't we? Like he'll be kind of evidence of what kind of character he is if he comes in and just smashes it out, because this is a very difficult game to come into, especially under the circumstances as well. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he adapts. I'm really looking forward to seeing him make his debut and come straight in. I think he is going to come straight in, judging by how Frank talks about him and what we've seen in training. So that's going to be really interesting, how that kind of plays itself out. I think there's a lot of different elements from there. In terms of the back line, yeah, I'm not too worried. I think as long as we keep Bowen under control, we should be okay. Obviously, Paquetá is there. We just got to make sure he's not gaining too much influence. But do you think, for Graham Potter, how big is this game for him, do you think? Does he have to get a result?
Before, I just remembered as well, the last Dutch guy we signed from the German league Mickey van der Ven settled in
Not
rather
too
quickly,
bad.
didn't he?
Not too
settled
bad.
Settled in rather quickly.
We in fact
Rafa van der Vaart,
we played him. I think 2 days after we signed him, didn't we?
Exactly. So he's either going to have a Mickey van der Ven or Rafael van der Vaart introduction, or a Janssen. Let's just hope it's on the. Let's hope it's on the Van der Ven and Van der Vaart side of the spectrum. Graham Potter, yeah, I think there's big trouble. Yes, they got a very good win against Nottingham Forest, and they blew them away in the second half, didn't they? And it could have been more. I think with Nuno now out of a job, obviously there's talk of Mourinho. I think the Sharks are swimming around West Ham. And what did Nicky say about Potter when you spoke to him about it? What was his feeling?
Well, the funny thing is, before the Forest game, he was ready to sack him.
Okay.
He was like, "Get him gone. We don't need him anymore. Sorry, we don't need him. Like, he needs to go." And now he's starting to look a bit more positive after beating Forest, and he's always said, like, you know, he's not the biggest problem with West Ham. It's, you know, it's the hierarchy and all that kind of stuff. So I think he doesn't really care, if you know what I mean. He kind of feels, he's kind of apathetic. He kind of feels like whether it's Potter or new guy doesn't really matter. Kind of how we felt under Levy,
Sounds
like
familiar, yeah.
someone, is always just doomed to failure, basically. But I wouldn't say he's a fan of Potter because he hasn't really done anything to gain his support. But he doesn't see Potter as like the big, like, he doesn't think things massively improve if Potter goes.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it one of two ways, can't you? Even like with Nuno leaving Forest, it's like a new manager's come in, and it's like, did he buy these players that have just come in, or was it Nuno players? Now you've got to now the window's shut. Do you give Potter the chance to build with the players he's got, and give him a few more games, or give him till January when? So I personally think there's bigger problems for Potter. Maybe if we beat them convincingly, there could be bigger issues. If it's like a hard-fought 2-1 or 1-goal deficit, maybe he'll be on a little bit longer. But we'll see. I think there is trouble at West Ham at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if there's a heavy defeat to us, even though he beat Forest, I think there's obviously going to be big questions asked, because after losing heavily to Chelsea, you can't then lose heavily again to another London rival so quickly. I mean,
Exactly.
with that game so fresh in the memory, I don't know if it costs him his job, but I think it immediately puts him in the red zone, and maybe one more bad result after that and he could be gone. I mean, it could be that detrimental, but yeah, I think he needs this result massively. And what about Frank, though? I'm not saying he's under pressure, but, you know, bad performance against Bournemouth, it really was. If we have anything like that in this game, it's got to be a bit concerning.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, and I think I did the watch along with you, Sim, in the studio, when we had Nuno, when we went to West Ham, and we didn't get a shot on target. Not a single one of those games. And obviously the crowd reacted. People will know my love for Thomas Frank and how I adore him and wanted him. He got it wrong against Bournemouth. He did get it wrong. He was outdone. I don't think lightning strikes twice so quickly. I think now he's also had 2 weeks with the players that weren't on international duty, and he's had time to sell. I think there was so much going on at the moment with Spurs when it could have been 3 wins out of 3, clean sheet, blah, blah, blah. Frank got it tactically wrong, but now you've got to start thinking, like we said in the predicted lineup, now Frank's got to start juggling 3 competitions, as in Carabao Cup, Champions League, obviously FA Cup's not till New Year. Now we're going to see Frank. This is brand new for Frank as well, so we're going to see what he's made of. I think he'll pass it with flying colours, and his coaching staff. But yeah, if we can't have a performance like we did against Bournemouth, we just simply can't, especially at their ground. And I don't think we will. I just don't think we will.
And the thing is, I don't want to obviously judge him too harshly, even if it's not a good performance tomorrow, because he's still learning about his squad. He's got a lot of new signings who haven't even played a game yet, and they're going to have to integrate into the team. Frank is integrating all these players. He's understanding what his squad is. But we just need to see a lot more on the ball than we saw against Bournemouth. Like, we need to start seeing... I mean, don't need to, but I would really like to start seeing some patterns of play and some attacking impetus, because at the moment it just feels like we're way too reliant either on forcing a mistake from a press or just a bit of individual quality to score a goal or a set piece, I guess. Which I guess, look, that is multiple avenues to score, so it's not like you can't win games that way. I just would like to see, when we're in possession, us not look so clueless like we seem to at the moment. But look, with Simons there,
exactly,
hopefully that can start changing things, because I think Paulinho, Bentancur, Sarr, that was always going to be the case, wasn't it? We said that after City, didn't we? It's all well and good them playing in those games against City where if you win the ball, there's going to be all that space to play in. And that's just that the space is created for you because of how City play. Whereas against teams like Bournemouth and smart teams who are in the middle range, those are the teams that are going to ask you to create space. Come on, create space against us. How are you going to do it? And when you've got that midfield free, it's going to be so tough to do that, and it's never going to really work. So, having Simons added to that team, it should make a big, big difference, shouldn't it? And I think set pieces is going to be massive in this game, because West Ham are not being good in set pieces at all. So I think that can obviously be a big avenue. But yeah, look, I think Frank hopefully will learn from that game against Bournemouth, because it was really just no two ways about it. It was a shocking performance. It's just one of the worst. I know it was only 1-0, but we all know that scoreline flattered us a lot, and we should have conceded a lot, and we never even looked like scoring. It wasn't even like we had like a big chance or anything. Like, we just never the whole game ever looked like scoring. So that obviously has to be rectified. Hopefully Frank has learned from that. It's going to be very interesting. There's a lot of different things that we get to learn at this point from Frank about the team, about the players individually as well, because it's all so new. So each game is like an opportunity to learn about what Frank wants, how these players are reacting to it, how formations, all these different things. So, yeah, look, you predicted 3-1.
I did indeed.
I predicted 3-1 as well. Let us know in the comment section below, what are your score predictions? I want to see what you think of the game.